And so it's actually pretty crazy when I reflect back on the last 3 years of my life and the experiences that I've had, the people that I've met, the ups, the downs, just everything that this whole experience has taught me as a person. And I'm excited to share that with you guys. And it's not the experience that I necessarily thought would happen. And it's funny because that's how life typically works out, right? We think life is going to work out according to our plan. We think that because we have a plan set that everything is just going to happen. And a lot of us wait for things to happen until we think that plan is aligned with what we have. And it's funny because that's never worked. So I still remember the first trip that I ever took to Los Angeles. It was back in 2016. I wanted to visit Los Angeles. I had never been. I had seen it all over social media, all over Instagram. And it was something that I wanted to do, something that I wanted to see, right? So when we were booking the flight, we actually decided to come to LA first before the Olympia and then fly to Vegas. And somehow, some way, it actually turned out to be cheaper than flying directly to Vegas. And I had some free hotel points at Marriott, so it ended up saving us money by coming to LA first. And I don't know what it is about LA, but when you come here, you feel the energy. There's something different in the air. I don't even know how to describe it. It's a different experience. And if you've never been, then I recommend that you come visit. It doesn't mean you have to move here. I loved it. I loved the energy. I loved the mountains. I had never seen really mountains before. I grew up in Florida where it's super flat. And I fell in love with the vibe. I fell in love with just knowing the opportunities that could arise from being around that type of environment. And like I said, I was really into fitness, so where else better to be, right, than Southern California? There's Gold's Gym, there's Venice Beach, because we went on a hike. And when we went on that hike, I remember I took a picture up at the very top of the Hollywood sign, and I have a picture with the American flag. And in the caption on Instagram, I put, maybe a future home. And when I wrote that post, I didn't intend on moving as fast as I did. So we would leave Los Angeles, we would go to the Mr. Olympia convention. We would come here to Las Vegas, which is where I currently live. And I had a great time here in Las Vegas, but I remember it was just brutally hot. We came in September and it was hot. It was in the hundreds. My friend that I had traveled with had somebody here that he knew. We went to Red Rock Canyon, did some fun stuff, and did all the touristy things, the strip. And I still remember when I was in Red Rock Canyon, I just remember thinking to myself, who the hell would want to live here? It's too hot. Why would anybody want to live in Las Vegas? What's there to bring? What does Las Vegas bring to the table? And little did I know, shortly after that, 2 years, 3 years later, I'd be living in Las Vegas. And it's crazy how that works because we don't always things don't always go according to what we think things are going to happen, right? Like we can make this great plan that we want to do this, this, and this, and then once this happens, then we can do this, and then once this happens, we can do this, and that stuff just never works out. Very rarely does it work out according to your plan. And I don't know what your beliefs are, but I know my beliefs. And I believe that God has His own plan for us. And oftentimes when things don't happen our way, we're being protected from something that we don't even realize. And it's just the truth, because when I look back on everything that I've been rejected from, I've always had something better on the other side. So 3 weeks later, I decided to come back to Los Angeles, and I came by myself completely. I rented a car. I think I was there for about 4 days, and I wanted to try to see different apartments, see different areas. And this was when I had really started to get serious about moving to Los Angeles. But it was not an easy decision for me. I had never left Orlando, right? It's my hometown, it's comfortable. I know everybody there, family's there. But I also had a lot of memories in Orlando. Some good, some bad. 2012 was when I lost my dad to suicide. Obviously not a good memory, right? And when you're in a town that you've always lived in with parents and close friends, you have a lot of memories. You have a lot of things that start to come back up when you see certain places and drive by certain things. And I had been going through that for quite some time, where I would drive by the gym that me and my dad used to go to. I would drive by where he used to work because I happened to live very close to where he worked. And always seeing those memories brought some sadness. It did. And sometimes it brought happiness. But I was at a point in my life where I remember my dad used to always tell me when I was growing up that I would really like California, since I liked living in Florida. And this was where I started to get more serious about actually doing it. Because when you lose somebody close, if you've ever dealt with death, it changes how you view the world. It changes your thought process. It changes your risk tolerance. And it changes what truly matters in your life and what you want out of life. Because you start to realize this is all temporary, right? All of us are going to die. And I don't want you to hear that and get scared and try to ignore that fact. That's the reality. Every single one of us will die. And the question that I want to ask you is, if you died today, would you be proud of the life that you lived? Would you be satisfied that you've done the things that you wanted to do? And at that moment, my answer to those was no. Because I had never done anything for myself to push myself. And I was always tending to everybody else in my life. And I got this from the behavior of my father. It was the same way that he lived. He was always concerned about taking care of the family, which is understandable, but he would sacrifice himself to do that. And when you do that, you lose yourself. And you put your happiness and your fulfillment into other people and other things outside of yourself. And I didn't want to keep going down the path that I was going on. I had an amazing girlfriend at the time. I was in an amazing relationship, the best one that I've ever been in. I had a nice car. I had my own apartment. Things seemed okay, right? But inside, things were not okay. I felt a void. I felt that life, I knew what life was going to bring to me in the future. If I had stayed and I had never left Florida, I was probably gonna marry this girl, and that kind of scared me, to be honest with you, because I had never done the things that I wanted to do. I had never really done anything for myself. And so 3 months later, I decided that I was gonna sell everything in my apartment and I was gonna move to Los Angeles.
Today makes this official. I'm scared shitless right now, but I'm about to actually go down to my apartment leasing office, go ahead and put in my 60-day notice here at this apartment in Orlando, and we're gonna be moving to Los Angeles. Scared shitless, but it has to be done. It's something that's been eating at me and eating at me and eating at me, and I know that it's not gonna go away. It's just gonna continually be there, and you never know until you try. And you know, in life, I just did a post on Instagram, but in life we're so afraid to take chances because we're scared of failure. We're scared that, you know, we won't be able to pay the bills. You know, we're scared that we may not have money to buy, you know, the food on the weekends or whatever it is that we normally buy that's, you know, miscellaneous, that's not really entirely necessary, but we enjoy those little things. And, you know, at the end of the day, you truly have to go after what you want in life. You only have one life. You never know when your time is going to come. It could be tomorrow, it could be next week, you know, it could be 80 years from now. I mean, the way that medicine and stuff's going, who the hell knows? But the bottom line is that so many people have dreams and have aspirations, and they're scared to act on them because they're scared of failure. And when you don't act on your dreams, you literally go to a job every single day, you know, and if you go to a job and you love it, then this doesn't apply to you. You know, this applies to somebody who has a dream that they really want to do, something they want to accomplish in life, and every day they're waking up, you know, they're going to this job where they're smiling, yes, but it's like an artificial smile. It's not really what they want to do. And that's 95% of the world. You know, 95% of the world is walking up and down the streets, driving in their cars every single day, the people that you pass, and they're just existing. They're not truly living. And you've got to take a jump eventually. And if you have that dream, that's the only thing that's going to ever satisfy you. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It doesn't matter what material things you have. It doesn't matter if you find the best partner in the world as far as a relationship goes. But if you're not truly fulfilled, you're never going to be happy. You're never going to really be living. And I'm doing this video because I want to encourage anybody out there who wants to do something, who's thinking about, you know, maybe moving to a new city or trying to do their job, you know, a new job or something. And at the end of the day, guys, don't be stupid. You know, don't leave your job and then have no income and then, you know, put yourself into a situation where you have no income and you're homeless. You know, that's not the point of this video. The point is, you know, there's ways you can make money. You know, you can drive for Uber, you can drive for Lyft, you can, you know, and I'm not saying these are the best jobs, but they have, you know, income capability to at least bring some income in. And, you know, there's just little things you can do to make money, basically is what I'm saying. So, you know, don't get so caught up on, oh, I got to make $100,000 a year, $80,000 a year, because I remember when I worked in hotels, I used to always say that I wanted to be a general manager. And the only reason why I wanted to be a general manager is because I wanted to have the salary that came with it. I didn't really want to be a general manager. I would see them come into work and they would just always look so miserable, so tired. You know, they were living in hotels a lot of the time because, they were always all over the place, and it got to a point where I said, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy. And that's when I got out of hotels and got into fitness. And this is kind of getting into a life story, and I'm going to do a whole video on that. But at the end of the day, guys, just take a chance on being who you are. You never know what's going to happen. You can sit here and say, oh, well, God, if I go there and then this happens, then I'm going to be, having to move back home or whatever. At the end of the day, what if it doesn't happen? Look at the bright side. What if it works out? How much better off could you be if it works out? Like, you have to always look at the bright side, guys. You get one life. We get one life. And I just hope this video encourages you guys to take a chance. But with that being said, we're going to head down now to the leasing office. I'm going to give them our notice. So I'm scared shitless, but I'm like happy, but I'm like, I don't know how to show emotion right now because I'm like nervous, but I'm really like excited at the same time. So anyways, let's go do it.
So packing everything really made me emotional towards the end in my apartment because I started to reflect like I'm doing right now.
All right, guys, so it is officially March 31st. It's about 2:30 in the morning, and this is my last night in my apartment, and it's really kind of giving me the chills. It's just really, really sinking in. I'm excited for what's to come, but man, I have a lot of memories in this apartment. As far as this was really my first apartment by myself. I remember when I first moved in, I had pretty much what you see now in here. I had my living room furniture from a previous apartment when I was living with somebody else at the time. So I did have a couch and a TV, but I had no bedroom furniture, and that's the way that my apartment is right now. I have no bedroom furniture in here. It's just empty, besides this airbed, some boxes, and kitchen stuff. And it's just, I don't know, it's really hitting me that I'm leaving. Tonight's gonna be my last night in my apartment, and I've just accomplished so much while I lived here, and I think that's why I'm starting to feel the way that I have. I moved here when I graduated from college, a few months before I graduated. I graduated, I believe, in May. I believe I moved here in February of 2014. I've been here ever since, and I love the location. It's always had a lot to offer in the area. It's been great for me as far as gyms go. I ended up here for a reason, and I was nervous to make this jump to this apartment at the time because, again, I was still in college. Yes, I had a full-time job, but it was not right here. It was about 35-40 minutes north of here. So it wasn't just like it just wasn't like it was right in my backyard. Now, I easily did find another job literally at the hotel right down the street when I moved here, so it was not an issue. I knew it was not going to be an issue with the amount of hotels that are over here on International Drive in Orlando. And I just remember how nervous I was when I first signed that lease, but how excited I was for what was to come as well. And I think that's kind of what's happening to me right now. I've already signed my lease in California, but I'm just getting that nervous feeling. Like, I'm starting to see this place empty, and I'm starting to second guess myself, like, oh, is this the right move? I don't know. And I'm starting to kind of just have those initial feelings, and that's completely normal anytime you're doing a big change, especially to the level that I'm doing it. I'm not just moving to another city. I mean, I'm moving, like, I think it's 2,500 miles away from here. It's not just like a hop, skip, and a jump. It's very far. And I've just accomplished a lot while I'm here, and I'm just proud of where I've come from. I started out working front desk at the Sheraton. When I moved over here, I worked at the Hilton Orlando. I did front desk there for a little bit. I had been offered a supervisor opportunity at an independent hotel, so I did go over there and take that position at the time. And from there I was offered an assistant manager position just about 8-9 months later, so I wasn't at this place very long. My assistant manager position, I was there for maybe 4 months. I couldn't handle it. The place was just not run properly. It was not staffed properly. I wasn't able to really truly be a manager, and that's when I started to applying. And I had fallen in love with fitness between those two jobs as a supervisor and assistant manager, and so I started applying at gyms. I managed to get a job at LA Fitness, and I was an operations manager there. And then last January I was doing my Instagram, I was doing online training as well, and they contradicted each other, and basically I got fired for it. And it's one of the best things that's happened to me. This whole process in the last year of just building myself and developing myself has been amazing. The amount of things that I've learned, the amount of patience that I've developed, just the discipline, everything that I've learned in the past year as far as just business and just about myself is amazing. I can't replace that. And I'm a true believer in that everything happens for a reason. Like I said, I was nervous when I moved into this apartment. I'm having that same feeling, but I have faith that what I'm doing is the right decision. It's just surreal. I mean, I'm really taking a big jump here. I'm just proud of everything I've achieved in my 3 years here. And I just want to look back on this video in a year or two from now and tell myself that I made it. A lot of memories here, a lot of good memories, a lot of good memories in this apartment. I can't really recall if I have any real bad memories here at all. I can't really think of too much that I would consider a bad memory here. It's all good times. Everything developed me into who I am today, and I've just had a lot of good times here with good people. That I don't invite everybody to my house. I really don't. I invite the close people to my house, and I've had some good times with those people here. It's time to try something. It's time to risk it all and go for it. That's just where I'm at in my life. I believe in taking risks, and I've always been a very cautious person most of my life for the past year, but I've realized that you have to take risks if you want the reward. You cannot just stay comfortable sitting back hoping that things will happen and being cautious. That's just not the way that good things happen. And there's always people that you're gonna encounter in your life that sometimes it's just time for you to develop as a person. It's nothing personal. It's nothing wrong with the other person. It's time for you to develop as a person. And that's where I'm at right now. And if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. I'm a believer in that. So anyways, I just want to do this quick video for me to look back on, to share with you guys hopefully in the future, and to just kiss this chapter goodbye, to close this book. We're opening a new book, and I'm ready for it. So you're gonna do great. You're gonna do great. I believe in you. I believe in you.
And I got emotional for a few reasons. Number one, because it was scary. Number two, I was in a lot of financial stress before I moved, and even after I moved. And looking in from the outside, you wouldn't have necessarily thought that, because you saw this guy that was in great shape, living by himself, driving a nice car, right? You would think he's on top of the world, and he's got a beautiful girlfriend, and everything is great. But when I lost my job before I started my fitness business, I had a lot of financial problems. I didn't know how to handle money. Let's just say it that way. And I got myself into almost $50,000 of credit card debt. Because when I lost my job, I didn't have really any savings. And all my expenses were so high. I had this car, I had this apartment, I had credit cards, I had loans, I had a girlfriend. I had things that cost money, right? And so that brings me to the reasons why I decided to move. It was because I wanted to do something for myself, number one. Number two, I saw where my life was heading, and it scared me that I kind of could see everything, even though it was good. But number three, there was some bad with that good, and I didn't see my financial situation getting better in Florida. I just didn't feel that there was the opportunity there. So that was a big reason. And I moved. At first, man, it was a dream. I was excited. I was on top of the world. I felt unstoppable. Even though I had a lot against me, I had such a high belief in myself that this was going to work that none of it really bothered me. And not even that it didn't bother me, but that I didn't pay it attention, let's put it that way. I didn't think it was an issue. So I moved into my apartment, which was a studio off of Wilshire and La Brea. I was paying almost $1,700 a month, while my business was making about $400 to $500 a month. And I had $1,500 to my name. I had some credit available, but I didn't want to use that, obviously. And I moved with no job, just my car, and I planned to Uber. And I Ubered. And living in that apartment, man, I slept on an airbed for close to 7-8 months. But I had a dream, right? But looking back on it, I didn't really know what that dream was. I didn't really know what I wanted. I just thought that I should live in LA because that's where, people gain a YouTube following, and that's where the social media people live, and I'm just gonna post fitness stuff, right? I didn't have a plan. I didn't really know what I wanted truly out of it. I wanted to grow the business and make money, but I didn't have a clear, concise goal. And that really screwed me up because 3 months into living there, man, I went dead broke. Dead broke. Like, my bank account was negative. Credit cards were maxed out. And I still remember I was trying to make my rent money doing Uber. And man, I think I worked 12 hours straight, and then Uber shut me off. They wouldn't let me drive anymore because I had driven for 12 hours.
All right, guys, it's currently Monday night, and I'm getting ready to go to bed because I gotta get some sleep and get up in the morning, but I just feel so drained. Literally today I had a Lenny and Larry's cookie, a muscle milk, 3 rice cakes, and a tablespoon of peanut butter. That's all I've eaten all day, and I just don't have money to go buy food. So for me, it's either pay what I need to pay, as in my rent and a credit card bill that's due, or I buy food. And I have to spend very little every day and save as much as I can so that I can continue to have a place to live right now. So, yeah, it's not easy. I definitely did not prepare for this. I didn't know that this was going to be what things were going to come to. I'm probably going to have to sell my iMac just to get through this month, to have enough money to pay for what I need to pay for. But, you know, like all things get better with time. When you're going through something that's bad and it's, you know, the worst time, things always get better. They only, you know, can really go up. I mean, yeah, things could be worse, and I'm grateful that they're not. But the only way from here for me is up. There's no going down. It's up. And I'm just grateful that I have a place to live, and I'm just grateful for having AC, lights, everything. So I didn't get to the gym today, and it's probably a good thing because I haven't eaten enough nutrients to probably have had a good workout anyway. I'd probably be doing more harm than good. So I'm gonna get to bed, wake up tomorrow, work rush hour till about noon. Depending on how much we make, we may go to the grocery store after, because that way at least I could have regular food. Because if I'm gonna spend $5 to $10 a day all week, it's gonna be $50 anyway. So I might as well put the $50 towards meals and food that I can use and get more for my money. So anyways, gonna head to bed. That's it for tonight. And it's July 31st, 2017, just so I have this to look back on.
And I didn't know what I was going to do. I had rent due the next day, so I had to take a 6-hour break. So I went home, slept for 6 hours, got right back on the road, and I made rent. I started to have to sell things the next month. But the one thing that truly changed that experience for me, I had always gone, I wouldn't say always, but I had gone to church when I lived in Orlando. I didn't go very consistently because the church that I liked going to was a pretty far drive. So I would watch online more than not. And when I moved to Los Angeles, I started to want to go to church, but I never had that push to go to church. And there was a church right down the street from me on Wilshire Boulevard that I used to walk by, drive by. And I had seen online, right? It was called Zoe Church. And something kept telling me to go into that church. And I just never actually took that leap to go into the church. Until everything was at rock bottom. I decided, you know what? I'm gonna go into that church. I'm gonna check it out. Because right now, I need some hope in my life. I need some faith in my life, and I need a miracle to happen. And real quick, I know obviously the scene just changed in this video. And this kind of goes back to the beginning of the video, how we think we have these plans and they don't always work out. I was filming this video in my apartment before I moved, and I was still living in Vegas when you first started watching this video. I'm now in Orlando at my new apartment. But I had actually filmed this entire video and I didn't realize that the sound cut out at this point. And so I have a complete video that doesn't have a lot, you know, the rest of it in audio. So this is gonna be moving on from the rest of this. And this is just working with what happens in life. This is just understanding that things are going to happen. Not everything is going to be perfect. I had a plan that I was gonna sit down, film this video, and it was all going to work out. We were gonna edit it and we were gonna get it uploaded. But clearly that did not work out. And this is the best time that I've gotten back to actually do this. So I wanna continue this story here. And I walked into that church, and for the very first time, I will say, it was very overwhelming, to be honest. I had grown up going to church when I was younger. We stopped going probably when I was like 12 or 13. And so I kind of fell out of the habit of it, but I was always raised in a Catholic church. It was very traditional. You had the pews, you had to dress up. And so when I walked into Zoe Church, it was completely different. It was come as you are. People were wearing whatever they really wanted to. They were comfortable. It wasn't so much about fitting into a certain image. It was just coming as you are and realizing that that is how you should come. You don't have to be perfect to come to church. You don't have to be done up. You don't have to be sin-free to come to church. And so for me, it was very different because, like I said, you saw everybody wearing normal things. And not only that, but there was just the power and just the passion that the preacher there had, Chad Veach, and just his whole team in general. Everybody was very welcoming. The first time I showed up, they were very, very welcoming. They wanted me to come back. They wanted me to feel at home while I was there. I loved it because it just felt so uplifting. And so from there, I started to go week in, week out. This is where things really started to change for me. This is where I started to, these messages that were going on in this church and just the people around me, and it just shifted something in my life. It shifted me to really start to want to walk closer to God, to walk closer to my spiritual journey, to realize that it's okay that I don't have it all figured out. It's okay that I've made mistakes. It's okay that maybe I've gone down the wrong path before and I've had the bad habits before, but now it's all about walking down the correct path. And whether you're spiritual or not, whether you're religious or not, it doesn't matter. I think this is an audit that all of us can do. And it's, what path are you walking? Because are your habits, are what you do on a daily basis, are they actually leading you towards what you want? Or are they leading you in a life of fear? Are they leading you in a life and a path that you don't want to walk down? And that was the ultimate lesson that I really got from that church was, it's okay to have failures. It's okay to have disappointments. It's okay to have setbacks. And you have to move forward. And the way that you move forward is you trust that there's a better life. You have faith that there's a better life. And then you don't just pray about it and you don't just hope for it, because this is where a lot of people mess up faith, is they think that they can keep living the same life that they've been living, but now they have this prayer that they say, so everything is going to change. Well, no, you have to change as well. You have to put action behind your faith. And that was the biggest thing that I honestly really took away from this church was, he's got it all figured out. He's, leading me in the right direction, but it's up to me to actually go that direction and to take the proper path. Literally the next day, I kid you not, after attending this church for the first time, I was outside flying my drone, just doing my thing, enjoying life and doing the things that I wanted to do, when this guy just so happened to walk by me, and he looked very familiar, and he said, I thought I heard a drone, right? About 2 or 3 days later on his Instagram that he is looking for a videographer to help him out. And so I reach out and I'm like, hey man, I'm the drone guy. I live in your building. I'm willing to help you out. I'm very flexible. And it was funny because that's not what I planned on moving to LA for, right? But at this point I was sinking fast and I needed something to help me, and I wanted to do something that I enjoyed, and I like to make videos. So I figured, why not? Let's see what happens. And so he asked me to send him a couple of my videos that I've done. I'd only done one video prior with a good camera, so I sent him that. It wasn't the best video, but it was okay. He had a little bit of critiques of it, so I said, hey, you know what? Let me do 3 videos for you. We'll do them for free, and if you like it, we can continue to work together. If not, that's cool too. So this was where things got interesting, because clearly I didn't have a good camera. All I had was my iPhone at the time to make videos. I remember the morning that we were gonna shoot our first video, he asked me about audio equipment and if I had a mic and if it was gonna hook up to the camera and all these things, and I didn't have a mic. So I just had to be upfront with him. I said, you know what, man, I just wanna be upfront with you. I don't wanna waste your time, but I only have an iPhone. I have a stabilizer. We can shoot it in 4K. You've got the external audio. We can sync them together. And that's what we did for the very first time. And this comes down to just honestly being resourceful. This comes down to having the drive to just make it happen with what you have. A lot of us think that we need all of these tools and all of these different things before we can finally do what we want to do. And it's just not true. At the end of the day, life is all about being resourceful. If you're not resourceful with what you have right now, you're not going to be resourceful when you get more. And it's just the same pattern that you see with lottery winners. You give people who a bunch of money who have never had it before, and they go and blow it because they're not used to handling that type of money. They're not used to handling these things. So oftentimes we hold ourselves back from doing what we want because we're waiting and waiting and waiting until we get something that's outside of us. And oftentimes you can't control that. Well, you can't control anything outside of you. So this was where we made it work. I had to be very humble. I had to take a back seat, which was very hard for me to do, to be honest, because I have a very alpha, a very dominant personality. I like to be in charge of things. I like to be in control of my own destiny. I don't like to work for other people, just point blank period. I don't. I have a way about myself. I was raised as an only child. I guess maybe I always got my way. So that probably has a lot to do with it. But this was where I ultimately had to, because if I hadn't done this, I don't know what would have happened with me. I really don't. There was a lot of times where I had, like, I don't even know how to describe this, but I just felt so out of control. I felt like I was literally just handing my life over, and I'm saying, God gave me this opportunity. It fell into my lap when I needed it, and I'm just gonna obey, and I'm just gonna do what I'm being asked to do right now. And it was very, very hard for me to do, and it still is hard with certain aspects. This whole lesson, this taught me so many things about myself and just about letting go of control sometimes. It taught me a lot of discipline, because before I moved to Los Angeles, I really wanted to start my business, right? And I wanted all this money coming in and everything, but I didn't know how to handle money. This comes back to the same thing as lottery winners. I didn't know how to handle it. That's why I was in such a financial mess. So had I been handed that money, I would have been a complete wreck. So this was where my income started to increase more than it ever has. And this was where I had to really get disciplined with this money, because now this money wasn't really mine to keep. This money was mine to pay off the things that I needed to pay off, to get myself into a better position so that I don't have to rely on this anymore, and so that I can truly do what I want to do. And this is where a lot of people trap themselves in life. They start getting more money and they start increasing their lifestyle. They'll get a brand new car and a brand new house, and they'll go buy all this stuff, and then they'll start going out to dinner more, and they'll start buying all these different things, and you trap yourself in this lifestyle, and you end up having to work and do things for money that you don't want to do because you have to. Like, you've literally enslaved yourself into a lifestyle of having to keep up with this. And so for me, this was where I truly learned my discipline around finances. This is where I truly learned how to handle money properly and what money can truly do for you if you use it properly. Money is a tool at the end of the day. It buys you back your time when you use it right. It buys you the tools and the resources that you need in life. It buys you security. It buys you just the ability to live in your freedom. And so I'm extremely grateful for this experience that I had to go through. And like I said, there was a lot of frustrations. This tested my patience beyond my belief. There was plenty of times where I was, set up to film with this guy and he would sleep in. There was plenty of times where we were set to film at 9 p.m. We'd go to the gym, it'd be busy, and we couldn't film, so then we had to come back 2 days later or 2 hours later. This tested my patience beyond belief, because this stuff aggravates me. If I'm dedicating my time to you, if I'm setting up a schedule with you, it needs to work. And if it doesn't, well, then that's where we have to figure something out moving forward. But this person is younger than me, and they still have that attitude that it's all about them, and that, you know, they are the most important figure here, and they're not concerned about the other individual at all, and the other individual's time, and the other individual's life. It's just about them and making it work for their schedule. And this may sound like I'm having some hate and some, you know, anger towards this person, and really it's a lesson, because this was me also when I was younger. So if you're younger and you're watching this and you feel like it's all about you, realize that your actions that you take are affecting everybody around you. So by you not showing up on time, by you sleeping in and not, you know, keeping your word to that other person, you've now wasted their time. You don't know what they had set up for that day. You don't know what they were trying to do that day, and you probably just screwed up their entire day. So that is kind of the reflection on that experience. So that was my lesson there. And I was like, you know what? I will never get myself into this position again. Anyways, I would move to Vegas in June. And I've already gone over the reasons why I moved to Vegas in a previous video. And I'll put the link up here so you guys can check that out, because I don't want to go too in depth. This video is already super, super long. And if you've made it this far, I just want to say I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you listening to this, because I know that 90% of people will not watch, probably 99% of people will not watch this far. So I would leave LA in June of 2018. And to be honest, actually July of 2018. And to be honest, I still remember the day that I left, I was ready. Like, I literally left 2 days before my lease expired, because I had already packed up, I had everything done, and my place in Vegas was empty. So I said, you know what, I just want to get out of here.
Today's the last day that I have to actually put in my 30-day notice here at my apartment. So I'm actually about to send the email, and I just wanted to talk about kind of my feelings as I'm sending this email, because I could have given my notice weeks ago. I could have given my notice yesterday. I could have given my notice anytime that I really wanted to, and I've waited till the very last day to do that. And the reason why is mostly just I'm not really 100% sure about what I'm doing, but it feels like it's the right thing for me to do. It feels like the best thing for me to do. The only other thing would be really to stay here, and if I was to stay here, I'm looking at my rent paper, and I mean, my rent is going to go up almost $300 a month, and I really don't want to have that burden of having even more of a rent. But yeah, so I don't know, just there's always that like feeling, and I know I talked about this in the last video, but it's just one of those things where you're not really 100% sure. You're jumping into the unknown. You're jumping into a situation that you don't 100% know how it's going to pan out. And that's the scary thing. That's a scary thing for most people. Anytime you're doing something new that's outside of your comfort zone, something that's just different, you're going to have those feelings. And it's completely normal. And all you can do is trust that you're making the right decision and move forward with it and do the best you can to make that the best decision. Because just because you decided it and you go there, you still have to put in the work. You have to put in the actions. You have to make the effort to actually make it be a good decision. I could easily just go there and hope and dream that everything's just gonna fall into place, but without me actually doing the work that needs to be done to get me to that place, then it's not gonna happen. It's not reality. So I just know once I send this email, it's set in stone. It's confirmed. I think part of me is kind of sad to leave here because it's LA. People come here to make their dreams happen, and while I did learn a lot while I was here, and I learned a ton as far as just about myself, just about life, and I've developed a ton of new skills and some new relationships that I'm going to take with me. But it just kind of sucks that I feel like I'm leaving without 100% accomplishing what I came here to do. But it's like I said in the last video, you know, I moved here for the wrong reasons. I wasn't really in the best position to make this move. It's just something that I decided that I wanted to do, and I wanted to do it my way, and I didn't listen to kind of the warning signs and listen to different things that were around me at the time. But you know, right now, like I said, I feel like that this is the best decision for me. It's either that or, like I said, stay here, and I don't think staying here is really the best choice for me. I'm just going to be under, I don't want to be under the same kind of just pressure that I've been under for the past year. I don't want to repeat the last year again for another year. And going back to Orlando is not really an option. It's something that I had thought about, possibly, but just not really an option in my book right this second. So my second best option, and you know, what I think is the best option, and it's kind of random because a few months ago I had literally no thoughts of moving to Las Vegas. It's not really a place that I've really thought about living before, but I just know it's affordable. I know it's a growing place. I know the city that I'm moving to in Henderson is a great city to live in. And just the cost of living, the affordability, the quality of life, everything just seems to be on par with what I'm looking for. So that's ultimately why I've decided to pick there as an option. You know, I had thought about San Diego, but it's the same thing as here. The rents are just insane. I don't want to have 4 roommates in a 1-bedroom apartment just to be able to live. And doing things online, I can be anywhere, so it doesn't really 100% matter. The other place I had thought about was maybe Oregon, maybe Arizona, maybe even I was looking at St. George, Utah, which seems like a good spot. That may be somewhere I end up in a few years. I don't know. But at the end of the day, a year is a small portion of your life. I mean, it's still a portion of your life, but in the grand scheme of things, 1 year really isn't that long. I'm only signing a year lease over there. Same thing as here. I actually thought that I had signed a year lease here, but it turns out I signed a 15-month. So that kind of came as a surprise for me. I thought I was moving out of here in May, but July it was. So even though, like, for the past year, like, I kind of look back and I'm like, man, I've kind of like been going through this for a while. I've been here for a while. It really went by pretty quick. I mean, I feel like I almost just moved here in a way. You know, I feel like I never really settled in because I never truly furnished my apartment. You know, I have a desk that I got for free. I have a bed that I got for free. Prior to that, I was sleeping on an airbed for 4 months, 5 months, so it's been a struggle. It's part of the process, but it's, you know, again, the reason why I'm kind of going with Vegas is I feel like I can actually set up a life there. I feel like I can succeed in that environment. Thrives on hospitality, you know, and always had a background in hospitality, so people seem good. People seem friendly over there. You know, there is nice people over here as well, but for the most part, the thing about LA that I didn't like is it's very superficial. You know, everybody has an image to upkeep. I don't feel like a lot of people really truly be themselves, and that's what comes back to like Hollywood and all that. It's a fake life. It's not real. It's not reality. And being here, you kind of see how people fall into that, and you know, they take out leases on cars that they really can't afford, but they want to look the part. You know, they shop at stores that they really necessarily can't afford, and they put it on a credit card so that they can look the part. And you know, when they're out in public, things may, you know, seem okay, but then behind the scenes, you know, they're depressed, they're upset, you know, they're not fulfilled, because they're putting on a scene for everybody. And that's not to say everybody is. I mean, there's a lot of people who are very well off here, and you know, but and I think this goes to be anywhere, but particularly here, if you've ever visited Los Angeles, like every other car is a luxury car that you see on the road. Every other car is a BMW, a Mercedes. Like, you know, it's not uncommon to see Ferraris, Bentleys, Maseratis, you know, all these high-end cars. Like, I remember when I lived in Orlando, like if you saw one of those, you like, you know, you like looked, you know, like here you don't even, it doesn't even faze you because there's so many of them. And people fall into this trap here of trying to look the part and keep up with people, and ultimately, like, that's not something that I'm concerned about, but it's just, I feel like it's hard to meet a lot of very genuine people here, and especially finding a relationship here, forget about it. Pretty much everybody is concerned with your, you know, your Instagram status, your status, you know, how much money you have, what kind of car you drive, where you live, and it's just very superficial, and I wanna get away from that for sure. So yeah, again, I don't really know what Vegas is gonna bring. I really have no idea. All I can do is pray, and I can trust that this is the right decision for me. I believe it is. I wouldn't have made this decision if I didn't think it was. You know, again, it's something I had been thinking about for a while, ever since, you know, my lease was coming up to end. I had been thinking about kind of what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go, and it wasn't like I just woke up one day and decided that I was going to just move to Vegas. You know, there's been thought, there's been different reasons why I'm moving there. So all I can do is really just trust that I'm making the right move and take you guys along with me through the journey, and we're going to do this together. So on a positive note, one thing that's really good is today is actually the last day that I did this loan through Lending Club about 3 years ago, and here's my last payment. It says July 12th, but I'm actually going to pay it today. So remaining balance, that's going to be my payment, and we're done. So that's going to be good. I'm excited to be done with that, to get that bill over with, and to not have to worry about that anymore. That's going to be a nice relief on me, just mentally, financially, everything. So one positive for the day, and then the other positive again is putting in the notice. So it's time to kind of start. I don't want to necessarily say like saying goodbye to LA, because I'll definitely be back. It's not like I'm just leaving and I'm never coming back and this is the end and, you know, whatever. So it's exciting. It's a little nerve-wracking, as I've said in the last video. So anyways, I'm gonna get my day started. I'm actually gonna go to Starbucks here in a minute, get a coffee, get some work done, and send in that payment, send in my email notice, and now it's 30 days from now. So I'm excited.
I remember I packed up my car, turned in my keys, and I drove. And before I even drove, there was an issue with my car, man, and this was where things started to really challenge me even more. This was 7 days before I was leaving. Yesterday, I drove to Starbucks, was inside for maybe 20-30 minutes, came back out, my car would not start. So I called my insurance company, who had roadside assistance come out, try to jump the car, no luck. So we called the tow truck. The tow truck like took 3 hours to get there. He couldn't find me. It was just a complete nightmare. and when I went to go start the car actually started up, but then I got a check engine light. Car was running really weird. I took it to a mechanic who specializes in Audi, and he basically told me that my model car that I have, the year that I have, has a severe defect with a piece on the engine, which actually causes your entire engine to fail. When that one piece fails, it destroys your entire engine. So right now, my car is currently sitting in my parking garage because he said it's essentially it's a ticking time bomb. The engine is going to blow out on the car at some point. So what I've decided, and what I did last night, was I did a lot of research on it. He said it was a major problem with the car. I looked it up. There's actually a class action lawsuit right now that's been going on. There's people who have had this issue with their Volkswagen or Audi for 2 or 3 years, and they've been fighting with them for it. There's people who only have 40,000 miles on their car, and their cars are done, kaput. People have had to buy $7,000 engines in their cars. So essentially, Volkswagen initially declined that there was any issue with it, but now, as of May 2018, I actually looked up that they have accepted responsibility for it, and they've settled the class action lawsuit. So I got in touch with the law firm this morning. I submitted my claim forms, and I'm just waiting to hear back from them on what my next steps are to go ahead and get this car fixed, because I still owe about 10 grand on the car, and if I have to pay $7,000 to put a new engine in it, and it needs other work among that, so it doesn't really make sense, especially if it's something that's not even my fault. The car only has 96,000 miles on it, so it should not need a new engine by any means. I had a Lexus before, 109,000, ran fine. You know, these cars should last for 250, 300,000 miles or more. So clearly there's a problem with it, and hopefully it gets resolved in my favor. It should. As I said, the class action lawsuit has been accepted. So hopefully I hear back from the law firm within the next couple days and go from there. But I mean, it just came at such a shitty time because obviously I'm moving to Vegas in less than 2 weeks. So my plan was to obviously drive my car over there with what I need. So I'm gonna have to rent a car, pack the car up, drive over there, and I'm probably just gonna leave my car here unless it gets resolved by the time I leave, but I don't think it's going to. So I'm probably just gonna have to leave my car here and get it fixed whenever I hear back from this company. So it kind of sucks. I'm gonna have to keep paying on the car, obviously, because I still owe money on it. I can't just stop paying. I would honestly just turn the car in, but I'm gonna have to still pay what I owe on the loan regardless. So it makes sense to just wait it out, see what the law firm tells me, and just go from there. So ultimately, at the end of the day, like, I'm upset about it, but I'm not gonna let it ruin everything. I'm not gonna let it ruin my, week. Yesterday I was just pretty chill about it. I went home, did my research. I didn't freak out or anything. I was a little upset, but I've learned to just kind of take what comes, and you can't. Getting furious in those type of situations literally only makes it worse on yourself. You're not doing any good by getting upset, by just having anger. There's nothing that's gonna come of that. So in those situations, just life is gonna throw you curveballs. Life is gonna throw you shit all the time. So ultimately, just how you handle those situations is how you're gonna handle life. So now, me 5 years ago, I would have caused a shitstorm. I would have been furious. I would have called my mom. I would have been a complete mess. I wouldn't have been able to handle it the way that I handled it today. And that's because I've gone through shit in life, and I've learned how to handle things. So ultimately, guys, whenever you go through anything, just know that it's teaching you something. It's teaching you patience. It's teaching you, how to handle these things, because ultimately, at the end of the day, like I said, you're always going to have shit thrown at you. There's never going to be a time where you don't have shit. So, yeah. So, what I like to say is, you're either going through something, you're about to, or you just got done going through something. Life's always going to give you problems. Just remember, at the end of the day, we all have them. And ultimately, it's up to you. If you want to get upset and you want to cause a storm and all that, it doesn't change the situation. So you might as well just breathe, relax, know things happen. God is taking care of you. It'll all work out the way it's supposed to work out, and live life. So. And Audi was able to fix it. They covered it. everything was good, and I got the car 2 days before I moved. But that was just like it just felt like when it rains, it pours, honestly. And like that year of my life, like so many things just kept happening. And eventually, like with the car, like it just gets to a point where you're almost like numb to it. You're almost like, you get like used to problems happening. And the more you start to deal with these problems, the more you start to actually be able to be in control of the problem, right? And I just felt like, well, this happened, cool. What are we gonna do now? And I just had that attitude. And I think, again, going through all of these things over, the 2 or 3 years of my life here, and not only those, but also, when I lost my dad and, all these many things that I've had to go through in life, it just really teaches you how to handle problems better if you look at it that way. There's a lot of people who will play the victim, why me, yada, yada, yada. And, it's okay to have that mindset in the beginning, but you have to quickly get out of that mindset because it's natural to have those thoughts. But you have to catch those thoughts, acknowledge those thoughts, and move forward and figure out a solution to the problem, ultimately, is what you need to do. So I got the car. We would drive to Vegas. I would move in. Man, I was super excited to move into Vegas. And to be honest, it was actually really, really good for a while. I really loved living in Vegas. To be honest, I really don't have any significant problems that occurred for quite some time living there. It wasn't until about a year later. So you're probably wondering if I continued to do, the work that I had picked up, and I did, because this individual's company had actually relocated to Las Vegas as well. So it worked out perfectly. I was able to decrease my cost of living. I was able to keep my income that I had and ultimately just be able to save a lot more money every single month. So, I would move in, I would love my apartment. It was the first time that I had a 1-bedroom apartment. It's funny because I'm in a studio again, but I chose to be in a studio this time. And it's funny, like I was just so excited. Everything was going so well. And it wasn't actually until about May of 2019 when I really started to have problems come up in Vegas. And this was where I had more car problems. So the car now had another check engine light. It was burning a quart of oil every time I had to get gas. So every 300 miles I had to put a quart of oil in it. It had the check engine light, started blowing black smoke out of the exhaust. And so I was just done with the car at this point. It needed suspension, it needed tires, it needed brakes, and now this other engine issue came up. So I decided it was time to just sell it to CarMax. I drove to CarMax. I was able to get them to offer me $3,500 for the car, which was not good because I actually still owed $7,300 on it because I had to pay $3,800 out of pocket. So for me to just get rid of my car, like not even like I had to pay CarMax $3,800 to get rid of my car because it truly wasn't my car. The bank still owned it and I owed money to the bank on the car. So I was upside down in the car. So this was another learning lesson for me. As far as your car goes, and not to do a 72-month loan with 0 down, unless you have the cash in the bank to make up for these type of things, and you get a low interest rate and you're able to actually leverage your money, which is a totally more advanced topic, and I was nowhere near any of that, but it taught me that, so I've had so many lessons over these 3 years, in regards to credit cards, in regards to financing, in regards to cars, in regards to, life lessons, in regards to trusting, God, in regards to, being humble, in regards to so many different things that I had to learn along this journey. And so this is where I would sell the car, and I would go literally without a car in Vegas the rest of my time there. And that was a hard time for me because I already felt I did feel lonely in Vegas. I've said before that I maybe didn't feel lonely, but I definitely did. I didn't feel like I really had anybody there for me. Yes, I had this individual that I worked with, but it was more of just a business relationship. It was, while we worked is pretty much when we interacted. And besides that, we didn't interact. We didn't talk. We didn't chat, nothing. And I didn't know anybody else out there. It was very hard for me to meet people because I didn't really put in the initiative to meet people. A lot of people will say that, Vegas is hard to meet people because people come and go. And while that is true, we're not actually typically taking the initiative to put ourselves out there, to actually try to meet people. A lot of us just expect people to come to us. We expect everybody to just want to be friends with us, and we're not actually going to the events. We're not messaging people. We're not getting out. A lot of us are hermit crabs. Like for me, I typically stayed home a lot of the time. I was always in my apartment, and when I wasn't in my apartment, I was in the apartment gym. And I wondered why I never met anybody. Well, because all that I was doing was staying in my apartment. So I was very alone in Las Vegas. I didn't know really anybody, like I said, and I started to meet some people later on as I, was almost getting ready to leave. But I also didn't meet a lot of people because I didn't have a car. I didn't even try to date. I didn't try to meet women because of that aspect as well. If I wanted to go take them out somewhere, what am I gonna do? Say, yeah, I'll come get you in an Uber. It was like a weird point in my life where I was so worried about what everybody else thought of me, and I wasn't confident in myself because I had gone through so much over these 3 years. I had gotten rid of my car. I had completely just downgraded my lifestyle, and I had a great apartment. I'm not saying that my living situation was bad by any means. That was one area that I didn't skimp on, was my living situation. I could have found apartments for half the price. I could have got a roommate, but I didn't want to adjust that part of my life because seeing as I work from home, it was super important to me to have a comfortable space to be in. I didn't want to feel like I always had to escape. So it was very humbling for me to have to do all of these things. I was, like I said, I was always spoiled as a kid. I had a car since I was 15 before I could even drive the car legally. Funny story, my mom caught me driving the car one day out with my buddy. We went to the mall, stopped at a stoplight. She was right next to me, and I didn't have a license yet. I didn't have any insurance, nothing. So I was driving around like an idiot as a 15-year-old, but I was not used to having to let go of things. I was not used to having to let go of these external things. And it allowed me to find more security in myself. And I'm not gonna say that I was 100% confident with that, because I still, no matter what you get internally, there's still things outside that, having the car gives you the confidence to have the freedom to go out and do the things that you wanna do. It allows you to go where you wanna go, when you want to go, and not have to rely on either other people to drive you or Uber to come pick you up or to have to walk somewhere. It gives you this more empowering feeling, and I had to really get used to not having that. And that was a very difficult thing for me. I mean, I'm 29 years old. I had a car for 14 years. And now all of a sudden I didn't. So I was not used to living this way. And it was a difficult time for me. I didn't really feel comfortable meeting people because I felt insecure about the fact that I didn't have a car. And eventually, a couple months later, I got more secure with it. You guys have been watching the channel. You know that I was very open and upfront about not having a car. And it was just something that, not a lot of people would do. And I just knew that this was gonna help me to help my situation. Getting rid of that car costed me $3,800 out of pocket, but it allowed me to save I believe around $650 a month when you add in gas, insurance, and payment over the course of 8 months. I mean, do the math. That's why I was able to pay off things a lot quicker and have some money in my account. I guess the whole point of this video, guys, is you're going to have challenges in life. You're going to have adversity. You're going to have obstacles. It's inevitable. There is no straight path in life. There's no transactional path that if you do this, this, and this, you're going to get this. There's always curveballs, obstacles. So I like to think of life as a transformational, experience. It's going through the different paths and learning and getting experiences along the way and being able to use those so that in the future you can make better choices. The past is not there to have you regret. The past is not there to have you dwell on it. The past is not there to make you depressed. The past should be used as a tool to allow you to make those better choices when things come up again. Right now, I have all of my credit available, right? I could go out and max everything out again. But my past experience has taught me that's not a good idea. There is so many different things that I've learned along this, and I just want to really make this video to provide hope to you guys, to encourage you and inspire you that if I can get through losing my father to suicide, moving to Los Angeles and going broke, prior to that, losing the girl that I dated for almost 7 years that, went behind my back and was doing shady things and just disappeared off the face of the earth. Never heard from this girl again. To moving to LA to going broke, to losing my car, to all of these different experiences, having a business failure, having to deal or having to walk a path that maybe you didn't think was the path that you were going to walk down, but God provided a path for you. And I don't care what God you believe in. For me, I'm Christian and I believe in Jesus. But for you, I don't know who that is. Just have some sort of faith in your life that things are going to get better. But don't just have the faith. Make sure you're doing the actions to back the faith. And that's my message to you guys. If you can get through these like for me, I've learned that if I can get through this, I can get through anything. I mean, just one or two of these events alone is enough trauma for a lot of people to fall apart. And for me, I just look at it as if I can handle all of this, what can break me? Like I'm literally unstoppable. Literally, that's the way that I feel. I know that whatever happens, I will figure it out. I will figure out a way to keep moving forward, no matter what in life. And that's not to say that I will never get discouraged. That's not to say that I will never have anxiety or depression thoughts or bad thoughts. But you can also use the past as a tool to realize that if you can get through all of this, you can get through anything. So I don't want you guys to just watch this video, feel inspired, and then leave and not do anything. I want you to really think about, take out a pen and paper right now. Think about all the things that you've overcome in your life, all of the different things that you've had to deal with in your life. I want you to write down the wins that you've had in life. And I also want you to write down 10 to 20 powerful I am statements. Because when you go through a lot of these times, it's very easy to say, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not good looking enough, I'm not beautiful, I'm not intelligent, I'm not wanted, I'm not worthy. And I know that because that's what I've gone through in my head. So I want you to write down the opposites of those. Because in life, if there's anything I want you to take away from this video, you will always act in accordance to your stories and your beliefs. If you have a story that you're not good enough because when you tried out for this basketball team in high school, you got rejected. Well, now your belief is that you're not good enough. So now you're going to act in accordance to not being good enough. So you're not going to take action on actually making the YouTube video because your belief is telling you that you're not good enough. You're not going to actually approach that girl because you're going to say that you are not good enough. She's not going to want me because the basketball team didn't want you. So now that belief is translating into the rest of your life. So what beliefs do you currently have? Like, think about this, get deep. Like, what is the beliefs that you're thinking right now? I'm not good enough, all these things. And I want you to write down 10 I am statements that are actually valid statements about you. Like, I am beautiful, I am worthy, because you are worthy, you are beautiful. We are all unique, we all have purpose in this world, we all have gifts that we need to share with the world. That's why we're put here. So write down these things, write down 10 statements of I am. And that's my takeaway for this video for you guys. Because if I operated off of the beliefs that I'm not loved because of, my dad choosing to do what he did, well, it kind of put a belief onto me that, He didn't want to be here for me. And that's not true. I know that's not true based on our relationship. So I am loved. I am appreciated. I know that for a fact. You know, I could have said the same thing when my girlfriend left me, that I'm not worthy, I'm not wanted. All of these things. And like I said, it's okay in the beginning to have that. It's normal. But catch it, and start to act in accordance to the other belief. You know what? I am beautiful. I am an amazing person. And if this person doesn't see it, well, their loss. And you move forward. When I lost pretty much all of my money, when I got into debt moving to Los Angeles and things failed, I could have said, I'm a failure. You know, I could have said, I'm not good enough. I could have said all these different things. But I changed that belief in that story. And it allowed me to keep moving forward. And it's the same thing over and over and over. You have to change that story and that belief. So that is the end of this video, guys. I just want to thank you so much for watching this. I want to thank you for making it this far, if you've made it this far, because truly, I know most 99 out of 100 people who watch this will not make it this far. So I just want to say thank you. And I just want to tell you that I believe in you and that you can do anything. And it's proven in the Bible. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I will never leave you nor forsake you. These are all statements that are proven time and time again. And I'm living proof of those statements.